Welcome, 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 boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, to another video here on my channel. My name is Val. Welcome, and I am very excited to, as always, to bring you a video. Today was one of those days where, things. I've been very busy since morning, and it was interesting. I connected with somebody who I've known for 29 years, but I've never actually had a conversation with them one-on-one before. So that's pretty cool. We've known each other since we were children, literally on the playground, preschool, and to actually be able to sit down with her and have an actual conversation, that I see as a gift. But what I really wanted to talk to you about today, guys, really was that you need to find your own way in life. Listening to other people in the end of the day will not get you anywhere as fast as you listening to yourself. Unfortunately, we're surrounded by so many people telling you how you should live your life and what are the most important routines for you to be doing throughout your day. You need to wake up at 5 a.m. You need to work for 10 hours straight or 12 hours straight, sometimes even 16 hours straight. You need to absolutely watch no videos during the day, no dopamine whatsoever. You need a fast. You need to do all these sort of methods of making your life as streamlined as possible. I won't say that there's absolutely no value to some of these productivity routines that people talk about, but however, when somebody says to you, this is a routine that will make you successful, that is just honestly a bold-faced lie, guys. And you need to question these influencers who tell you things of this nature, where they're like, no matter what, man, if you do this routine, if you sustain this routine for 90 days, there's no chance that you're not going to be a millionaire. No chance whatsoever, man. This is the millionaire's routine. Wake up at 3 a.m., put your face in a bowl of ice. Like, I can't remember that one influencer who was, doing that ridiculous morning routine. First of all, I highly doubt that he does that. If he does, more power to him. That's great. I'd love to spend 90 days with him and see how much of that 90 days he actually does everything. He does everything that he says he's going to do. But I think a lot of these people do take advantage of humans that are in this vulnerable state, right? And I think that's exactly how cults work. And just because a cult is a cult doesn't mean that the person in charge of that cult is conscious about the cult that is being formed around them. So some of these people are just putting out things that they love to do, and they just telling you about what has made them successful. But then there are other people who are actually conscious of the fact that they are manipulating people into being exactly like them. I think honestly, Andrew Tate is one of those people. I could be wrong, but I feel that he is very conscious of the manipulations that he's perpetrating on people, in order to get the people to sign up and enroll in whatever course he's selling and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying don't ever buy anybody's course or anything like that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a course at some point to sell, so that's pretty cool. But I'm very much about helping people and guiding people to finding their own way of working through their issues. I think we should take the Eastern methodology, their approach, because Western methodology, the way that they go about things is they basically have this diagnosis and then they prescribe this pill and say, hey man, if you take this pill, you're going to get better. Never really getting to the root cause of the problem. And I feel like some of these influencer routines and all that, if they actually even do half of the stuff that they say that they're doing, are very similar in this respect. They're like these magic pills. If you do this, if you do that, if you do this thing, your life problems will be solved. This is the ultimate routine. And Eastern medicine has a very different approach, right? Eastern medicine looks at the individual as a whole. Where are they in life? What stage of life are they in? What is their natural disposition towards some things? It's the same thing. It's like for somebody, peanuts could be very nutritious, but to certain people, if you give them peanuts, they're going to die, and very quickly at that. So they're going to go into anaphylactic shock, they're going to be unable to breathe, all of their everything is going to become inflamed, and they're going to die. So, rather than having, that experience, I believe, the way I look at it is we need to look at the person and where they are. What are the issues that they're facing? If you're facing social anxiety, some of the best things you could possibly do are put yourself out there and speak to more people. Whereas another person, maybe they're not socially anxious, but they struggle to be by themselves, then that I would say, and I would prescribe spending more time by yourself, because clearly they don't have a problem with socializing. So this one-size-fits-all approach is really not that useful, guys, and that's why I prefer to work with one-on-one clients, because I can really hear their language patterns, what their struggles are, what their problems are, and give them solutions to help find to help find their own solutions to their problems. I love to listen to people and the words and the expressions that they use when describing themselves or describing the problems that they're facing, because often you can find that the way that they're framing these problems is detectable within their language patterns. So much like that, prescribing that they speak a different way about their specific issues so that they can actually enact change upon those issues. That is so important. And I believe even if you're not taking my advice in respect, or if you don't hire me, then listening to the way that you speak, listening to the way that you think, writing it down, and figuring another way of framing that. A quick example of this for me is like I've had a skin picking issue in the past. And so the way I'm reframing that is that I have something that I'm working on. It's not a struggle, it's something that I'm working on. And that immediately, that reframe puts it in a different perspective. It's not quite so emotionally charged as I have a struggle with this, right? So I'm not saying taking aspects of different people's experiences and different people's programs is not useful. In fact, having mentors, having people that have dealt with things that you're currently dealing with in your life is incredibly important. The issue that I do have, however, is taking these people's word as gospel, because at the end of the day, they are just people, and a lot of times you're making gods out of ordinary human beings. When you're referring to Andrew Tate as the top G and he's this larger than life character, the man's just an ordinary human being. And I think we've really come to find that out, especially with the way that he recently got his ass handed to him in the boxing fight, And I don't know Andrew Tate for shit. So me speaking, I would love to meet him in person, have an actual conversation with him. I'd be critical about the things that I think I should be critical about, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't oppose having a conversation with somebody that I don't agree with, right? I think that's important. But don't treat what these people are saying as absolute gospel. That is where I find that things get really problematic, that people put themselves in these frameworks, these very rigid frameworks, and meanwhile their body and their whole mind is screaming at them, stop doing this, this isn't what I'm here to do, this isn't what I'm supposed to do, but you still barrel through because you've been hypnotized by this dude on the other side of the screen telling you what to do. And they are influencers. Why they are influencers? Because they are influencing you. And if you listen to them long enough, you will forget which thoughts are yours and which thoughts are influences. That's why it's so important to get a little bit of time to yourself. So when you get a little bit of time to yourself, you're able to sift between what are your thoughts and what are these influencers' thoughts, and maybe where those thoughts and those opinions may have some confluence, and then also where do they diverge. I used to force myself into this idea that I had to wake up at 3 a.m. I had to wake up earlier than everybody else, I had to work out before everybody else, I had to do cold exposure in the morning, meditate for this amount of time, do breathwork, and honestly it's just overkill. guys. Absolute overkill. What I really needed to do was not that. First of all, what I really needed to probably do at the time was figure out how to like make myself some money, versus like doing all these different like routines and improving myself. It wasn't the time, to be doing that. Maybe there's a time in my life where I will be doing that, where I will wake up at 3 a.m. and have to, well, not have to, but want to actually do all those things, and I have the time to actually do all of that spiritual work, and that it'll feel authentic to me. But here's the thing, guys. It wasn't authentic to me at the time, so you need to look inside of yourselves and see how much of what you're doing is actually authentic to you, and how much of it has been sold to you by the influences, by the people that you're watching online, and then really, really sift through, figure out what is you, what is them, where the middle ground of those two maybe links. But yeah, figure out what is true for you, what works for you, what gives you more peace, what brings you more happiness, instead of just thinking, okay, what will make me most productive? Which is a lot of productivity YouTube right now. What will make me most productive? The funny thing is that you'll often find that you are more productive when you're not trying to be productive, when you prioritize like your peace, when you prioritize and value your peace of mind and your happiness and the people that are important in your life. When you put those things first, you will often find that you're able to create from a much more comfortable place, and the stuff that you create is going to be much, much better because you're not trying to force yourself to do it. That's all I have to say today, guys. It was a bit of a short video today. I don't know. A bit of a short video today on a bit of a time crunch. And yeah, just carry on being you, guys. Find what works for you. Don't let other people influence you to do things that you don't want to do.